Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. Today we are back on Assetto Corsa. It is now time for the third round of our Mazda Multiclass Series with the Formula Mazdas as well as the MX5s. Welcome, we're here at Autopolis running the shorts layout for a short just over 70-second lap time. Today in the Formula Mazdas, it's closer to 80 in the MX5s. Should be an interesting one today. Hopefully we can have some good racing. It looks like we're expecting a grid of 26 people, but it looks like we've had 23 show up, 12 in the Formula Mazdas, 11 MX5s, so a nice good even split. We're about to get going for qualifying here very shortly. So yeah, this should be quite good. We have just over 10 seconds before we start the qualifying session. And away we head out then. Much like last week, we're going to try and do 2 short stints, 4 laps each. Just to keep fuel load to a minimum and try and get the best of the tyres. Well, that was not expecting that. Hopefully that's not too much foreshadowing to what we might see today. Already a murder at the start of qualifying. Welcome, Artie. As we come out for the final corner to start our first flying lap. Into T1. So braking around the 75 meter point. A little bit hard to see turn 1 with the apex with the elevation. A little bit tricky to pick out where you should be turning in. But it's important to get right as it's long run down to turn 2. Braking about 55 meters into turn 2. So make sure you win up turns 3 and 4. Double left-hander. Then leads you into this right-hand hairpin. Not too tight of a hairpin, which is quite nice. But another very important exit here. Through turn 6 and flat out through the long left-hander of turn 7. It's all about just picking your line with the lightness and bid downforce that this Formula Mazda has. You are able to pick your line quite nicely. Then just 2 corners to go. Heavy braking, bit of a crest into this long right-hander. You don't want to run too wide on the exit as it pinches up with the final corner. And again, you want to get a good exit. It's a long run to turn 1 once again. It's 12.5 for our first flying lap of the session. Still have a couple more laps. Gotta be careful with the rear end. Oh, just running a bit wide on that occasion. Trying to get a good exit from T1. Look how close it is in the top 3 here. Fortunately, we've already invalidated this lap, but we're showing that there is more pace in the lap as the tyres are hitting a bit more of a peak. Don't go push the entry of the final corner too much. We'll make sure we get a good exit. start our next flying lap. This will be our final flying lap of this stint. Decent run through turn 1. Didn't get the best of exits, but we still find 2/10. Bit of a bad line there, Scopus, very tight for this hairpin. Careful of the downshift, locking the rear tyres. It's not as good of a sort of a middle sector, you could say, as we had last lap. Just a couple of corners to go now. Oh, a bit of locking. Car really sliding around. Yeah, threw away quite a bit of time there. We got a good exit. And we will improve. I didn't realize there's a second car there because they're not appearing on my track map. That was awkward. Just gonna make sure I give myself quite a bit more space. Can't afford it. Currently sitting in provisional pole by 2/10. But the field is looking fairly close at this stage. We know we've got a little bit more time in our lap. And we're not really limited on time in this second stint. We're going to get our 4 laps that we want in easily enough. Just want to make sure we have the space to not get held up. You know, that's the last thing we want, is to be on a good lap and then just find a bit of traffic. Using all the track on the exit of T1. I think I'm gonna have to back off this lap to get more space. Looks like it's invalid. I don't know if that was at T1. I thought T1 was fine. So we're gonna get 2 more laps in. Not seeing too many improvements since the first laps of the session, which is a bit of a surprise. Right, we're looking to find some time in this middle sector. Find a little bit of time, but not much. Only half a tenth. Car goes spinning in front of us. Thankfully doesn't impede us. much better through the final corner. Find nearly by half a second. This is going to put us sub 112, 3/4 of a second at the front of the field now. Bit wide at T1. But I'm happy enough with that lap. Rear end sliding around on this lap. Bavou improves, but it's only at 12.5. A little too hot into the final corner that time. It's worth a push. We'll try pit entry. Because it's a bit of a tricky pit entry. So it is. As we see the MX5s heading out for their run. But yeah, Pavou is on one final lap. Oh, much tighter, sort of on the mid part of the corner. I think that would compromise his exit, and he's going to come into the pits too. So obviously not improving on that final lap. Thomas still on a final lap as well. So let's see, only needs half a tenth here to improve it up to the front row again, but doesn't improve on that final lap. So we have taken pole position. That is good going. So it is. That's certainly good going, and it's by a bit of a margin too. So it is, which is intriguing. Not what I was expecting, in all honesty. But I mean, the field. I mean, there's two people there. Oh, I think we've had one. Aiden has just jumped up to P4. I think they're at the end. So it looks like we have 24 people, 12 and 12. First evening, we've had a late joiner. Two people, Benji Beam, Zach Silver, identical lap times, 13.4. So there's some close gaps. Could make for some interesting racing. Yeah, curious to see how this will go. But how about we start watching some of the MX5s, which are all in their own wee pack. They're all coming round to complete their first flying laps. Let's see, Alex Wood up to the top of the timesheets. Chris Overstreet looks like they'll slow into P2. Yeah. Nearly 2/10 off the back. Replenus just coming out of the final corner now. I'd like to sort of not run as wide on the exit of the penultimate corner, not tighten up that final apex as much. That will put them up to P2 by half a tenth ahead of Overstreet. Dave Tweets is leading the train of MX5s. And currently has a purple opening sector. Andy Hearn only 0.02 of a second off in that first sector. Stevie Bean has found themselves off at the hairpin. But looks like we have 3 drivers in contention to take pole position this lap. Dave has lost a bit of time in the middle sector. There's also a driver, I think that's Ash Hill right behind Dave. It is indeed, and Ash has found a bit of time in the middle sector. Raplanus has had a great opening sector, a 10th quicker than anyone else across the line. Dave Tweets will go up to pole position only momentarily though, as Dave Tweets takes the position. Andy Hearn lost a few tenths in the middle sector. I don't think improved there in the final sector. 2 tenths up at the opening sector, finds a little bit more time in the middle sector. Nearly 3 tenths up, will be in to the sub 21s, as long as they didn't compromise that final corner too much. Up to 9 now for Planus, and they find even more time, over half a second clear of the entirety of the field at the top of the timesheets. Only halfway through the MX5 portion of the session. Waiting for our first improvement at the end of Sector 1. Times are coming in, but none of them are improvements. Except for Stevie Bean. Stevie Bean is our first improvement, but he's a 10th off the current pole position time into Sector 1. Still needs to get a representative lap in. Oh, if anyone's looking challenging top time, Raplanus 2 tenths quicker in the first sector. A little bit of traffic from people having per laps. I think that's Ben Myatt there going a little bit slowly into the final corner then for Stevie. He's now 6.5 tenths off the top of the time. So, oh, that's a per exit. Big slide of the rear end. We've just delayed him sort of putting the power down, getting traction to go down the start-finish straight. He will slot himself into P6. Raplanus, though, now already at top of the timesheets. Can they improve once again? No, not an improvement this time. Losing time in the middle and final sectors. Dave Tweets on for a better lap this time, faster than Raplanus in the first sector. Can he hold the speed through the middle sector, through this long left-hander? Little hint of a lift going into the corners, can stay on the trace, but then just holding it flat out. Kankos down in P9 currently, also putting in a quick opening sector. Just 2 corners to go now for Dave, but he's lost time in the middle sector. Still a personal best, but over 4 tenths off of Raplanus's time. Up to the line then for Dave Tweets will be a front row position. Doesn't improve in the end. Kankos dropping a little bit of time too in the middle sector. We're only a 10th off the pole time at this stage. Raplanus further once again improving, but can they hold the time in the final sector this time? Kankos now across the line. It was P9. It is now P2 by 10th over Ash Hill. Raplanus has actually lost a bit of time in the middle sector. I don't think this will be an improvement in the end as they come up to the line. No, again, a little bit quicker than their previous lap, but not as quick as their current fastest time at the moment. That was one car going into the gravel. That's Ben Myatt having a spin. Not an ideal position to be parked at for the others. So Johnny Ashley has been listed on an outlap for a little while. Oh, hang on here, Kankos. Fastest first sector, or at least a competitive first sector. Stevie Bean as well, but look at that, Raplanus. 10.5 quicker. The rear end though starts going around for Kankos, and they clip the wall on the inside. That will be the end of that flying lap. They will have just about enough time to get going again for one more flying lap. I don't know if these cars are good on a sort of out and push, or if they need a couple of warm-up laps. Stevie Bean now into the final couple of corners. Has lost a little bit of time in the middle sector, but still a personal best. The rear end just sliding a little bit as he tries to put the power down for the long run to start-finish line. across the line now, where it'll be P2 by half a tenth over Kangus. Raplanas comes across the line, extends their margin in the front of the field to 0.6 once again. That's another car into the gravel. Who is it this time? That's Adam Ely. That'll be the end of his session as everyone's on to their final, or a couple of drivers will get round for one more flying lap, but we're getting towards the end of the session. A few people in pit lane. They'll not have time to run any more laps. Evo just running it too hot into the final corner. Rear end coming round, well held, but might slightly compromise their momentum coming on to start-finish straight and could hold them up. Alex Wood on their final lap, personal best at the end of the first sector. So does Andy Hearn. Just behind, I believe, for that might be after the middle. That was after the middle sector. Andy Hearn still in P8 though, not jumping up any positions, and time has ran out. Checkered flag is out. Can Alex Wood jump them up from P7? Oh, a little bit of a cut of the final corner. Might be a poor exit there, so will it be an improvement? Yes, we'll jump up 2 positions up to P5, but Dave Tweets has found time in the first sector. Ben Myatt jumps up to P10 ahead of Sean McGardle by just 4 thousandths of a second. Andy Hearn improving once again in the first sector. Can he hold the pace though to the start-finish line? Dave Tweets will be next driver across the line, 4 times down on the provisional pole time, but if it's a good final sector, the rear end swinging round, but might help him carry a bit of momentum with the rotation through the final corner. Certainly not struggling with understeer in the MX5 as the drivers behind ruin their final laps. It's up to P3, just over 100th of a second ahead of Kankus, lit and a few hundredths down on, who was it in P2? It was Stevie Bean. So yeah, very good qualifying session there from the MX5s. And now we're about to head into the race. As always, 60 minutes plus 1 lap. I think we're going to see 51 laps. Track grip has also evolved to 97.3%, with it being a shorter track. We should see good evolution and sort of quick evolution this evening. Now, on the strategy for this race, as we've seen Alfie Bevan last week run a bit differently. He filled up his fuel tank at the start of the race and then came in for a splash and dash. No tire change for him. Nearly give him a chance at the lead of the race. He would have maybe taken the lead had he not got caught up in traffic fighting with ourselves through the midpoint or the early part of the race. Obviously being a bit slower with that heavy tank of fuel. So yeah, fill 51 litres start with, and then we should only need 3 litres midway through. From the front row, our starts haven't been too bad, so hopefully we can hold on to the lead, but of course we don't know what other people are doing strategy-wise behind us. A minute till we get started then for this third round of the series. Let's get the right HUD back on. A nice bit of space too on the grid. Of course, these cars are quite small, don't take up a lot of space. That means, you know, we've got a nice little bit of advantage, hopefully, to turn one if we can get a good start. Into first gear. Revs up to full. Really poor start from Pivot. He barely got off the line. Into T1, just taking a little bit cautiously. Want to make sure we get a good exit. And aren't left vulnerable down. Couple of cars into gravel back in the MX5s. We've got a good jump away at the start of this race, already opening a second gap to the cars behind. Despite the full fuel. Look at the pack there from 4th to P8. They're all stacked on top of each other on the mini-map. Pavot in that group, Zach Silver, Jacob Hine, Tom as well, so a few people that can be quick. Apex in there somewhere. Yeah, just need to readjust to not being able to brake as late. Now having 46 more litres of fuel on board than what we had in qualifying. Rear end sliding around there, that wasn't a great final corner. Aiden's caught up to us a little bit this lap. By nearly 6/10. Better T1. Yeah, that's certainly a better lap. Gonna take fastest lap of the race just about. Even better T1 this time, got a good exit. Wide there, T2 though. I've just realised something. I can't see Aiden on my mini-map behind me, and I know why. It's not a bug Oh, very bad run into the final corner, or penultimate corner, I should say. Just struggling with a little bit of brake locking on the downshifts as well. One car into the pits already. I mean, if they can run to the end of the race from there, then, hey, might not be a bad strategy. That battle for P4 still looks really interesting. Pivot. I think Pivot's had an issue at 122 last lap time. That's pretty slow. I mean, that's MX5 pace. MX5s just crossing the start-finish line now, so we're not too far from catching them. Good final corner there. Aiden has dropped off the timing board. I can't even see him in the top 9. I wonder if he had an issue or if he took a pit stop while I wasn't looking. It snapped, just a bit of rear locking, and the car snapped out as they went to turn in there. Lost me a good 2 seconds. Oh, the rear just really slidey. First of the MX5s we're passing on track here. Car off into gravel. That was one of the Formula Mazdas. They were having a horrible time. And this is certainly bad news right here. Oh. Space was there to go for a move, but I don't think the MX5 quite expected it with... Oh, I nearly got taken out there. Thankfully, they're defending and attacking each other. Gives me space to go round on the outside. only 10 minutes into the race now. Picking our way past these MX5s. We've got 3 more to go here as we've been just in front, sort of nearly a lap down from the lead MX5 already. Get the downshift I wanted. Just arrived at the wrong time with that MX5. I was just too far back to go for a move. rear end just started sliding as soon as I turned in. I think I turned in sort of as the rears were just on the limit with the downshift. And that's what caused the slide there. Pivot already into the pits as well. Yeah, there is Aiden. He has done his pit stop. Back up to P8, 33 seconds behind us. Nice big cleaner in front of us now. As we set new fastest lap of the race. Three and a half minutes left in the race. Still a long way to go. Still gonna have to pass the MX5s a few more times. A little bit wide for the apex there. Yeah, so I think that should now show Aiden on the track map. Oh, could this be the lap we guess sub 1 minute 12? We're right on the verge of one. All depends on these final two corners. Too much sliding in the mid corner of the final corner, or penultimate corner I should say, sorry. Will be another fastest lap of the race. Not quite sub 12 yet. Well, I have to say this car is quite fun through the middle sector. Okay, those final couple of corners are an awkward place to catch an MX5, just because you don't know exactly what line they're going to take in. You know, there's a good argument for a couple of different lines. Opened gap up to Aiden to 37 seconds now. Pavos 42 behind, also having made his pit stop. Oh, MX5 lost the rear end there. I don't know if they got scared and then just did something that unsettled the car. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. I wouldn't be surprised doing that MX5 driver if they blamed me for it. Give them plenty of space. Unfortunate for them. Pivot per run, braking for the penultimate corner there. Aiden setting a new personal best at 12.5. Starting to find a little bit more pace. Apex in there somewhere. It was nice to have the car not snap out with oversteer through that corner. Speaking of, I think Thomas slowly by catching Granberg for second. Could be an interesting fight for P2. Formula Mazda having a real tough time. All of a sudden I've got really uncomfortable in my chair. That was a little bit like trying to judge which way I should go on that MX5 was tricky with the timing that we arrived. It's like, do you go to the right hand side, but you know that they're gonna swing right to open up the left hander? So I was like, right, just it's like as I did, like, right, space is on the left hand side, just go for that space. But it was a little bit tricky, it was a little bit awkward. 1.2 seconds now, the gap between first and second, Granberg and Tom. That's a good, clean T1. Good exit. I mean, doesn't really mean too much. We're going to get caught in traffic here in the middle sector. Or through the middle portion of the lap. Gonna go for the outside here. MX5 just sort of drifted up to the inside of the hairpin. You know, which can happen, you know, through the left-handers, you know, just sort of understeer, slide out, you know, that can be expected. Gap to Aiden's now 40 seconds, 47 seconds to Peugeot now. There's Zach Silver coming out of the pits. I knew I wasn't, again, was so on edge to making a move in the braking zone for turn 2. I was like, nah, not quite close enough. I was like, round the outside, and then I just sort of started to run wide. Round the outside of Johnny again. That was a little bit more awkward. I had to lift. And then didn't have, you know, momentum to make it an easy pass. We have P8 just in front of us. They've made their pit stop. That was a squeeze. I mean, mention, you know, an MX5 can just sort of run wide a bit like that, you know, especially if their tires are getting a little bit worn. I mean, they're hard to compound on the MX5. But yeah, I haven't driven it enough to know. We've opened the gap to Aiden by 10 seconds. He's had a slow lap of 1:17. That's a slow lap there. I wonder if he got caught up with an MX5. Rear tires are starting to get quite worn. I mean, we have the gap. We maybe could take on a set tires. For safety. But I think it could be good learning for the rest of the season. Like that. Just lost the rear end. It started sliding for Benji Beams there as we come up to lap them. Now, despite the track grip really improving up to over 99% now, you know, these cars, the rear end just does sort of like to slide, especially with the rate distribution. Fight for P8 now between Zach Silver and Benji Beams. MX5 going for pit lane. Front right tire starting to green up a little bit. But certainly not as bad as it was in the first two races. That's another reason to not change tires. And actually the graining seems to be getting a little bit better now. That number is decreasing rather than increasing. It's going back and forth a little bit, which is interesting. I think it's mainly going down at the moment, but there's still a couple of corners that are making it worse. Tom Tosland has gone for his pit stop, going for the undercut. Just ran a little bit wide there. Less than 20 minutes remain, so we're 2/3 of the way through this race. of course, still to make our pit stop, but so is... Oh, Granberg's into the pits now, trying to cover off Tom. But Tom has come out behind Aiden and Pavot, so I wonder if he's taken tire. Oh no, I was expecting that. He was behind when those two went into the pits, or at least Aiden did. Comes out of the pits, looks like 5 seconds ahead of Tom, which is interesting. We're probably at the point where we could make our pit stop and still come out in the lead. I just had a little moment there where I doubted if... Oh, that MX5 might be going for the pit lane. So I was like, oh, I'll go to the right-hand side just in case. And did make things a little bit more awkward. Just trying to make sure I don't overwhelm the rear tires with the turn in there for T1. I'm glad I put an extra degree of rear wing on for this race. I don't think it's our top end speed too much, but I think it's certainly has helped car balance a little bit. Next week, I believe we're going to Homestead, to the Roval circuit I've done a few times on Forza Motorsport. And as it's a Roval, top speed is going to be much more important there, as we have a long flat out run from the final hairpin all the way around the second banked corner back into T1. Probably will see the highest top speed of the season there at Homestead. And can make for some very interesting racing if things are a bit closer. Not too many sort of longer high-speed corners too at Homestead. It's more stop-start corners, which will maybe play into some people's hands. More than others. Might change the grid order a little bit compared to what we're seeing here at Autopolis. That has very few stop-start corners, a lot of long corners. "15 minutes left in the race. A quarter of the way to go. See a battle here for P13 just in front, though. One of the cars has pitted, one has not. So it's not a genuine battle. We'll only get quite close there in the exit of T1. Excusez-moi. Thankfully they don't hold us up too much. Ooh, big slide there. Thought I was going to sneeze there for a moment. Got a little bit of understeer too through that long left-hander, so I had to lift a little bit, which made the pass there a little bit awkward. Thought that MX5 was coming into the pits for a moment. They just didn't want to give us any slipstream. High road. I think this is going to be awkward. Having a lap car go wide there in front of us. Not ideal, but we have the gap. We're not too worried about that as we're into the final 10 minutes of the race. Tyre seems to have slowed down a little bit. Front tyre is starting to catch up with the rears. That's actually a good run through the final corner. That was too quick into turn 2. Track has reached saturated grip. It will not get any grippier for the rest of the race. Rear end sliding out there. Five minutes left in the race. Of course, we still have to take our mandatory pit stop, which we'll be doing in a couple of laps' time. James is only a second back from Aiden now, so the fight for P2 is on. Right, we're going to pit at the end of this lap to complete our mandatory pit stop. Big snap on the rear end. Careful, because the tyres are very worn as we come into the pits. Three litres of fuel. The refueling rate is extremely quick for these cars. And we come out with clear air in front of us. One minute left on the timer. Remember, there is also plus an additional lap once time runs out. I think we'll get to the line before time runs out to make it 2 more laps. Peugeot has got in front of Aiden for P2. And Jacob might be trying to chase down Tom Toseland. For P5. Although if Tom did take new tyres at his pit stop, which I think he might have, I'm not too sure, that would be difficult for Jacob. Time's not run out just yet, so we have 2 more laps to go here. And there we go, time has now run out. So this is the penultimate lap. Getting a sense of deja vu here. And now the final lap of the race. Lap 51. Oh, MX5 behind had a big slide. That's the leader in the MX5. Luckily they have a good enough gap that it won't do them any harm. A lapped car will get past them, but they have a good gap to P2. So final corner then. I'm going to let Andy Hearn go for one more lap. And that is the victory by 37 seconds. I was not expecting that over Pivot, and fastest lap of the race. I was not expecting that indeed. Again, it was a very quiet race. Aiden was keeping us under a bit of pressure at the start, but decided to take his pit stop early, and we were just able to open the gap up. And if we're going to be able to do any donuts. Oh, we got a couple in. But yeah, there we go. 37-second lead in the end. That's a good fun race. It's a fun race to drive. I mean, I would have liked a bit more battling, for sure. But the car was actually very nice around Autopolis short there. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that indeed. Yeah, good fun. And as I said, next week we're heading to Homestead Roval. That should be a good race. But in the meantime, this week, I should tell you about a couple of races we have coming up, including tomorrow. We have the 2 hours of Sebring, hosted by SRL. It's been a little while since they've hosted a race. It was when Paul Ricard had just came out a few months ago. So it's nice to have another SRL race. 2 hours of Sebring. We're going to be in the hypercars in the Porsche 963 specifically. Of course, those new tire models. They're very tricky. Or sorry, I forgot about the Fun Cup, Friday Fun Run that we did with SRL just a month ago. So yes, it's going to be 4th race technically on the hypercar tires. Of course, we did those 2 races on that Friday Fun Run with SRL, and I did another social race not long after that. I think it might have been the very next day. That was good fun. But we're going to be at Sebring. Sebring, a very difficult track. Certainly much tougher than Spa and Le Mans. So it'll be a bit more difficult, a bit more interesting with the cool tires. 963 is actually quite twitchy on the cool tires. It is quite tricky, very easy to sort of spin the car. So it is. The rear end does like to slide out by going into Sunset Corner. It does get better when the tires are up to temperature. It does actually handle quite nicely, but it takes you quite a few laps to get there. So yeah, you do have to be cautious. 2-hour race will have a bit of strategy as well. Should be interesting. Not sure how that's going to play out exactly, but yeah, should be interesting. Then Thursday we have the continuation of our LMP3 versus GT series. Didn't get to do last week. Had to do the main broadcast for Own It last week, unfortunately. So didn't get to race at Fuji, but yeah, this week we're also that's also at Sebring, so that should be quite interesting with the LMP3s and GT3s. Looking forward to that. Hopefully we can have another good showing. Maybe looking for another podium there. Would be nice, but yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes on Wednesday. And yeah, and a bit of a busier week this week. And then, yeah, I've got a couple of races I'm doing off stream over Friday and the weekend. Go do the Coda 4 hours on LMU, as well as a bit of AMS2 racing. Go try that again. Hopefully, no issues this time like we had with the IMSA series from what is it, like a couple of years, at least a year ago now, maybe a couple of years, year and a half maybe. Yeah, hopefully no screen freezing issues. But yeah, that's good for this stream. Thank you, Arbel, for popping in, chatting a little bit. Thank you to those who dropped in and lurked for a bit, and or watching the VOD back. Hope you all enjoyed. But yeah, until next time, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you then. Take care. Have a good rest of your evening. Bye bye.